Are you just listening to this off of your laptop? Like you don't have speakers attached, right?
No, it's just my laptop.
Hmm.
Okay, I think we're good because I like got out of Microsoft. So I'm hoping that means we're good. Can you guys hear me and everything?
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, I think last time in the Q&A, it like literally just brought up that like hidden pop-up and then I just didn't know where it was coming from. So now that I figured it out, I just like closed it out. All right, yay. No more downloading. Were you guys able to download that link?
Yeah, I was gonna say I haven't tried it yet.
Okay, yeah, that's okay. I tried and it was taking a long time. So, I mean, I'm assuming it's just such a large file. That's the issue.
It was there was the loading circle, and I finally just hit play and it started right up. So,
oh,
yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And D2L just does not like anything larger than like 15 minutes. So some of the PowerPoints as we start going forward, like heart failure was a long PowerPoint, a long voiced over PowerPoint, and I just struggled getting it onto D2L. So I kept having to like split it into different PowerPoints. So morning, Liz.
So my husband decided to take a trip out today to go drop his car off to get looked at. I was like, why?
It's hard being stuck inside.
Well, he was on call last night from like 3 to 7, and I guess his boss texted him, and he's like, no, you're not working. He's like, we'll get somebody to cover. He's like, this is a liability issue for me, and I don't need the stress. So his friend was covering for him, and he's like, man, he's like, I could go to work. I'll be fine. I'm like, why are you pushing it? Just relax. You have time off. Enjoy it.
That's tough, especially since we've all been like kind of cooped up, you know?
He hasn't. He's been working.
True.
And I think that's why I'm getting like really like annoyed and frustrated because I'm used to having my day to myself like 4, maybe even 5 days a week, you know? So he left this morning at 8 and I'm like, I'm going back to sleep. I'm like, it's quiet in the house. Like, I'm just going to relax, like with nothing to worry about. Not wondering what someone's doing. What are they moving? Like, who's opening the fridge? It's like, just, everybody's out.
I agree. It is definitely nice to have some peace and quiet sometimes, you know, just by yourself.
Must be nice. Live with your mother-in-law. You never have any peace and quiet.
Nope, peace and quiet.
Nope.
Actually, with mine, I do. If she comes over to my house.
Oh, no, mine lives with me. No, she doesn't.
I know. If I lived at her house, which we did, first got married for 6 months, it was hell. I mean, it was terrible, but she's just particular in her way. But when she comes over here for a few days and stays with us, like, she won't wake up until we get up. Like, she won't do stuff until we're ready to do stuff. Like, she's on her own, but she'll give us space.
You would think I would make enough money being Jason Statham to have another house for her or something like that, but you know, the badass action
quarter business
out so well.
A she shed, right?
Yeah, I know, right?
All right, you guys. So it is 10:30. I do want to make sure that we get started. Let me just peek and see who all is here. I am bringing up, I want you guys to just kind of pull up the calendar or at least look on my screen. There's been one change that is important for you guys to all know. So hold on.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. It's not a bad change.
Like you accidentally posted the answers to the first test and you're like, oh my God, don't look.
Yeah.
Don't look.
Oh man, if that happened, I think you guys would probably have like it all like, pictured or something, saved before I could delete it.
You can accidentally do that. We're okay with that. It's fine. It's fine.
So, but kind of speaking about exams, so there was a discrepancy with exam number 4 here. On Access ECC and in the syllabus, it did say April 20th. So that's why it said April 20th in the syllabus as well, is because that's what was located on Access ECC. We do need that 4th exam to be on April 27th. So that's like the most accurate, meaning that's when the exam's going to take place. So April 27th. If we move it to April 20th, then it's in between, like it's too quick. Too close to the previous exam. So you guys really don't have enough time in between material. So the course calendar always said April 27th. It was just different than what the syllabus said. So the syllabus said April 20th. But your exam is actually going to be April 27th. That's fixed now on the syllabus. It's correct on the calendar. And then when you guys look on that very front page of our course, like in the important dates, that's also been fixed. So everything is now the correct date, April 27th.
If you want to just skip it and pull an Oprah, we're good with that.
Everyone 300%?
Yeah, you get an A and you get an A.
I would absolutely love that.
It would be amazing if a teacher ever did that, like ever.
So, but I just wanted you guys to also know that I did add in here your extra Zoom session. So it has the time and that it's there so that everyone's kind of on the same page and, all of our important dates are in one area. So your Zoom sessions are there, your exam dates are correct now, no discrepancies. Okay.
Thank you.
Start at 10:30 or 10:45?
All of them except your final start at 10:45.
Okay. That's what I had written down. I wanted to make sure.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
nothing
And
changed.
it says there usually when you click on it anyways, it'll say like, oh, I don't know, it doesn't begins at whatever time.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So now that we're good there, because I wanted to make sure, scheduling purposes, if you guys have work or whatever, that was important for us to kind of get situated here. So kind of moving along into our class number 6. Today we are covering clotting, bleeding. Okay. So I did post, so in module number or class number 6 is your PowerPoint that we're going to bring up. I'm going to bring up to share with you guys. And then it has our activity for today. So if you guys want to look at class number 6 in class activities, it has everything that we're covering for today. And I'm going to bring up our PowerPoint here. Okay. All right. So clotting, bleeding. Kind of recapping from last week. So our quiz, I really wanted to review the interventions for peripheral arterial disease and chronic venous insufficiency. So can someone recall what arterial disease is?
Arterial disease is so if you think about it, like the blood's not going back up to the heart. So like there's a blood clot you can have it anywhere, but like if we're talking about the legs, like you don't have blood flowing back up to the heart.
Okay, so is that an arterial issue or is that a venous issue?
Arterial issue.
Venous, I think.
Or no, venous, yeah. Sorry, I had to think for a second. I'm like, wait.
Right. Your venous system brings blood back to the heart. So that's venous insufficiency is when the blood is pooling. The valves in the periphery are not functioning appropriately. So now all of your blood is just sitting in your extremities, right? So your patients are going to have edema on their legs, increased swelling, especially throughout the day, things like that. Okay. What about arterial?
Arterial is it's difficult to pump oxygen into the blood, and that's when you have like ischemia or necrosis because there's no oxygen getting to those areas.
Good. So your arterial system, that's blood going down to the periphery. So coming out of the left ventricle of the heart, going out to the body systems, right? So an arterial issue is there's a blockage somehow. So either atherosclerosis, maybe a clot has formed. So blood is not physically getting down to whatever part of the body it needs to. Okay. So when we think about our interventions, right? Nurse Mike and Nurse Sarah have some really good videos about PAD versus CVI, okay? And the way I like to think about it, and one of them does say this, so PAD, right, you wanna put the patient's legs down, right? So if it's an arterial issue and blood's having difficulty getting downward, you want that patient to put their legs down, okay? You want gravity to help that blood get downward, okay? So you want them to walk. Okay, they're going to have some pain. You want them to do some walking programs. Even if they are having pain, you want them to walk a certain amount of time per day. Okay, and you want them to sit with their legs downward. Okay, so if they're having difficulty with blood perfusion down to their periphery, you're going to have them sit at the edge of the bed, or they're going to have their legs kind of like angled downward, right? So what would be a word? What would be the position that we could put a patient in that would angle their legs downward in the hospital bed?
Reverse Trendelenburg.
Dependent, right? Reverse Trendelenburg. Reverse Trendelenburg is when the head is up and the legs are down. Okay.
Or you could just like put them in like possibly like high fowlers, or have the head of the bed up and then like the feet up and over a pillow. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but
kind of like a chair position. Some of the really cool beds do all sorts of things with the knees. So you would position the knees downward in the bed, right?
And some of the beds even have like a chair button. Like if you hit it, it looks like a chair.
Good, very good. Okay, so what about our venous insufficiency? What interventions would we want to do for those patients?
Elevate.
Good.
To decrease, because there's going to be swelling and it's going to be like a dark color. Like the legs can turn a dark color, so you want to keep them elevated.
Good. So if our patient is sitting in the chair all day with their legs dependent, is that good for a venous insufficiency patient?
Absolutely not.
No. So, you know, you're going to intermittently have them, maybe if they're sitting in a recliner, you're going to elevate their feet. Or if they're in the bed, you might place their legs on pillows, right? Or what other intervention do we do for those patients?
You do compression.
Good. Good. Compression stockings, right? Nurses, anybody on their feet for long periods of time should be wearing compression stockings because it helps bring that blood back up to the heart. Okay. All right. So you guys, are you kind of making more sense of like what interventions are appropriate for which exemplar? Okay. So again, PAD, you want A, forming an A with your hands, you want the legs to go down. PVD or CVI, venous issues, you want the legs to go up, make a V, right? Okay, so that's how you can remember that. Okay, another thing that I noticed with the quiz is that there was a question that was related to PAD and CVI, and one of the answers had all, never, always in there. Okay, so when one of the test taking skills, especially with the NCLEX and our exams, is when you see an option that says all, never, or always, that's never a good option. Okay, because does that ever, does one of our interventions or one of our teaching points ever include every single patient? Or not always any patient, right? You don't want to like encompass everyone as like a whole, right? There could always be a patient that might not work for, or that would work for, right?
Yeah.
So
Because not everyone's the same.
So anytime you see a word like that, it's just not, just think to yourself, that's not going to be my best option. Okay. So that's an easy test taking skill that you guys can kind of eliminate some of your options. when you're taking these exams, okay? Okay, and then I wanted to review some test taking skills related to therapeutic communication. So on each exam you will be seeing in quiz, you might see some therapeutic communication type questions. So with the specific quiz question from last week, it was a patient that had peripheral arterial disease and she was going to get an amputation, right? Do you guys remember that question? Right?
Yeah.
Got that one wrong. But
Okay.
because I was like, none of these is what I would say. That's where I think I got confused.
Okay. So the best option was the listening piece, where you kind of allow her to feel the way she wants to feel. The other option said like all amputees lead a normal life. That's not a good choice.
Yeah,
right?
let her cry and leave wasn't a good choice.
Good. Okay. So you're not really addressing the situation. Okay. So the best option in that question was really it sounded insensitive, but you're going to let her feel the way she wants to feel and let her come to terms with that diagnosis or that exemplar or that issue, right? And you're going to be the listener. Okay. You're going to let her feel that way and you're going to listen. Okay. I think the other option was something about her, like rehab activities, which she hasn't even accepted that she's getting an amputation, right? So we can't even really talk about rehabbing, okay?
Isn't it usually like if it's something like similar to that, it's always like listen or, let the patient feel how they want to feel because you can't tell them how to feel.
Exactly.
That makes sense.
Exactly. Okay. So kind of just thinking through that, you will see more therapeutic communication questions. So kind of keep in mind what we talked about today when answering those, okay? All right, so clotting and bleeding. So what were our main exemplars for today's content?
Hemophilia, messed up clotting factors.
Okay, hemophilia was one of them. What else?
Aneurysm, it can cause bleeding.
Very good. Okay, an aneurysm. So aneurysm is specific to an outpouching of one of the arteries, right? And if it ruptures or is leaking, then it's going to cause a bleeding issue, right? Okay. What else?
Aortic dissection.
Okay. Aortic dissection, which is also kind of like a tearing in the aorta, which results in bleeding, right? What else? What about from class 5?
You have a bunch of like bleeding disorders, ITP, TTP.
Mm-hmm. Good. ITP, TTP. What were the other two?
DIC and
HIT.
HIT.
Mm-hmm. Good. And collectively, when you think about those, what are you worried about as the nurse? Like if we're talking about ITP, TTP, DIC, HIT.
Small microthrombi.
Okay. Worried about small microthrombi, so clotting, right? And what else?
Hemorrhaging.
Good. So bleeding, right? So if the patient has low platelets, what's going to happen?
They're going to bleed out.
They're going to bleed, right? So kind of thinking through that all of these exemplars either have like are correlated to our clotting issues or our bleeding issues. So you're really kind of looking for the same things. You're looking for very similar nursing cues. You're looking at very similar nursing like labs, assessment pieces to determine if the patient is either clotting or bleeding. Okay. Today, what I do want to go over, or the case study that I really want to have you guys do is a thrombocytopenia case study. So it really focuses on our thrombocytopenia in one of those exemplars in class number 5. So today it is actually listed, I put it under in-class activities in your class number 6. Okay, so what I'm going to have you guys do is we are going to split into, I think we have everyone here. Hold on one second. 6, 12. Okay, So we're going to split into 3 groups. So 3 groups of 4, and you guys are going to complete the entire case study. Okay. You guys can each make a copy for yourself. So does everyone remember how to make a copy on Google Docs? You go to File, make a copy, and then that creates your own copy where you can type if you want. Okay. So we'll split into groups. You guys are going to complete the entire case study, and then we're going to come back together and kind of just, we're not going to go through every question, but kind of overall what the case study was about, any questions that you guys might have. Okay. So we'll probably give about 20 minutes to complete this. So what time are we at here? We're at 10:46, so probably about 11:05-ish, we'll come back together. Okay. Does everyone see where the case study is located on D2L?
No, I'm finding it. Hold on. Is it under class 6 or 5?
6. Under
Oh, there we go. Yep.
in-
Thrombocytopenia case study.
Perfect. Okay, so we are going to break out. 2, 3. Right, so you guys should be all seeing your breakout room there. And go ahead and join. And I'll kind of be cycling through all of the groups.